Alright, welcome back to another video. If you follow me on Strava, you'll see that I've basically taken a week off. I've only ridden 80 kilometers this week. I'm just trying to get everything sorted. New Zealand's about to go from level 4 lockdown to level 3 lockdown, so I'm moving up to my grandparents' house just to do a little bit of training up there, and I've got a job for a few weeks so I can save up a bit of money. So next week I should be back to like full training. I'm going to try and do like 500 kilometers, 600 kilometers next week, so a decent block of training. But yeah, for today's video we're going to have a look at my TT bike. So if you've watched my channel before, you know that I've had two TT bikes. I've had this red and white rally TT bike, which was like an alloy TT bike that I got. It was like an ex-Australian Conti team bike, and that was really good. I used that for like under 17 to under 19, and then last year I got the Avanti Chrono TT bike, which is like a bigger step up, more aero, and a full carbon bike. So you'll know that Maddie helped me set up the entire Avanti TT bike. Like we moved the bars twice, we've tried to put spacers up and stuff. But if you've been watching the channel recently, you see that I just do not ride that bike. And that's because it's just super uncomfortable. I had shoulder surgery, as you can see the scar there. I had shoulder surgery about a year ago now, and there's only a few options with the bars, but we'll go have a look at the bike now. One thing I do need though is that the bike has no wheels, so we're gonna grab a set of wheels. What do we choose? Dura C50s or Dura C75s? And obviously we've gone with the C75s because it is the time trial bike. Okay, so this is the bike. So this is a, I'm pretty sure it's either a 2016, 2017 year of frame. So this is the Avanti Chrono Team. This is the matte black finish. I'm pretty sure when this frame came out, just for the frame alone, it was like $6.5 grand. So it was a pretty expensive bike in its day. So for today's video, I'm going to tell you the 5 things I love about this bike and the 5 things that I hate about this bike. You thought it was a joke, that's cap. I get the front and I get the back. Lil Uzi the facts, like that's a rat. Bought some new boots just to wear them out. Bought a new Beamer, I run it to the ground. Alright, we will start with the 5 things that I hate about this bike. Alright, so number 1 are these bars. So these are the Pro Missile Evo bars, so they're the full carbon bars. When I brought it, I thought these bars looked really, really cool, which they do, but they are the biggest pain in the ass I've ever had to deal with. So as you can see, they're on a horrific angle at the moment, and that is because I've spent so many hours trying to work out a good position to actually be aero on this bike. So you can either be in here, so there's 2 bolts there, and you can be in here and it's super, super narrow, the bars are like almost touching, or you can be out here, which is super, super wide, which is where I have it at the moment. So straight after my surgery, me and Maddie put it into the narrow one, and I just literally couldn't get in there. My arm wouldn't let me in there, so eventually we had to put it back to this wide setup here. And this wide setup now, I think a year later, is almost too wide, and I've got more movement in my shoulder now, so I could probably go back into the middle. Here's the problem: every time you want to change it, because I have mechanical gears, you have to re-cable all through here, and it goes through the spacers, into the bar, into the integrated stem, and then all the way down, and it is a complete nightmare to re-cable. So that's number 1, the bars just don't have anywhere near enough options to get into a comfortable position. Alright, and number 2 is obviously the group set. This bike is running Ultegra mechanical, which is an absolutely fine group set for being on the road. But on this time trial bike, I'm trying to set myself up to be aero. Every time I wanted to make a little change, I have to re-cable it and take the cables out, which is a complete waste of money and a real big hassle. The best upgrade I could make to this bike was be either put an old Di2 group set on it, or put a SRAM E-tap on it, because then I can just get rid of the cables completely. And number 3 is this integrated stem right here. It's like the specific one for this Avanti Chrono. Now, Pro sell an identical stem to this on their website, but Maddie told me that someone ordered the identical stem on here for Pro and it will not fit on this bike. So the fact that this is the only stem that you can put on this bike, so that doesn't give you a lot of options. It makes it quite an annoying little thing, especially if you crack it or you were to break it. My fourth little hate is this little seat post clamp in here. I seem to have had a lot of trouble with trying to get it nice and flush in there. It just always sits down a little bit and it's not very good, and I've had a few slips on the seat already. So yeah, that isn't the best design on the seat post clamp. And then obviously the final thing are the rear mounted brakes on the bottom of the bike. Me and Maddie spent hours trying to set these up for these wheels. We got the carbon brake pads and we had to shave them down so they would fit to these wheels in, which they do now, and they work perfectly for these C75s. If I wanted to put Maddie's disc on, which is a little bit narrower, the brakes are way too loose, and it isn't just a little knob that you can change to make it work. It is a complete process to try and like move it in a little bit, and it's a complete pain in the ass. So that's probably the worst bit of the whole bike, is that little brake down there.
I run it to the ground. I used to say nothing, I bet they hear me now. Ain't no my business, no need to hear me out. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check.
Alright, and the 5 things that I do like about this bike. Number 1 thing that I do like about this bike, I absolutely love the way it looks. Obviously the first thing before I buy a bike is I want it to look nice. And I personally think this Avanti Chrono looks really good. It just looks like a really nice traditional time trial bike. Obviously how the frame follows the back wheel all the way up to here, and it's quite flared off at the top. It's got fairly fat tubes, which I quite like in a time trial bike, but they're not overly big like those felt ones, which are just like an entire chunk of carbon they've chucked in their bike. And you obviously can't go wrong with a matte black bike as well. It just looks really good. The second thing that I like about this bike is the front brake system. The front brake and forks are all integrated, and when I was looking for a time trial bike, because my other one just had the normal brake on the front, I really wanted to have like integrated front brake because I think it looks really good. Obviously there's a few arguments out on the internet that the front integrated brake doesn't actually save you as much time as you would think. Aside from the aero gains, I just think it looks really good. But yeah, that's a really good bit of the bike that I quite like. And the third thing that I like about this bike is this Pro Logo Nago Evo TTR saddle with the carbon rails. That literally just took me 5 attempts to say. This is my go-to saddle for time trials. I have used this saddle for I think almost 6 years now, since I started doing like proper time trials on a time trial bike, and it has been absolutely perfect ever since. I have had no problems with it. It's got like 6 or 7 little ribbles in the top of it, so when you're really getting far forward on that TT saddle, when you're over in your aero bars, you don't slip off it at all. You don't have any problems with like slowly slipping off the front. It really holds on to your bib chamois as well, which is really good. So the fourth thing is obviously the Dura C75 race wheels. I brought these wheels, obviously I use them on my road bike quite a lot, but I did specifically buy them to use them for time trials as well, to put on this bike. I think the color match of these wheels to this bike just looks absolutely perfect. They both have the dark carbon, and they also both have the writing in this white and this kind of like silvery color, and it just looks like they were made to be together. And yeah, that's it. Unfortunately, I couldn't come up with a 5th thing that I liked about this bike. It is a pretty good time trial bike, but it does have a lot of things that I'd like to do to it to make it actually more comfortable, more aero, and make me actually want to get out and ride on it more. I'm obviously not a time trial specialist, but I would like to work on my time trialing and get on this bike a little bit more. Alright, that's going to be the end of this video. As you can see there, we are so close to 9,000 subscribers. So if you have not subscribed, please hit that button down below. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers. We're going to be back to more regular uploads next week. I've got another challenge video up my sleeve, and obviously a few more training vlogs when I get out training. So if you haven't liked this video, please do that, and I'll see you next week.